sound quality, guys. I'm just showing you this little setup I've got just to give you an idea of what you can do with the GP5 with these other couple of little components that I've added and using some of the settings in the GP5. I've got this set up here so that I can basically just play this thing through my hi-fi in the living room. At times I've got a couple of small amps coming as well, just so that I don't have to always go up to the main studio and turn amps on and all that kind of stuff, just so that I can play guitar anywhere. And I think that is the main use case for this little pedal and a couple of little accessories I've added. So just to explain, I'm just using my kind of living room guitar, which is the Harley Benton HB35, fabulous thing, and we keep it down here on a stand just to come up with ideas and so on, because it's a semi-acoustic, so it's pretty loud to be played without an amp. And then I can now just have this little system down here, takes up no space, and I can get all sorts of different sounds here. Okay, so I've got this AKG microphone, just pointing roughly at one of the hi-fi speakers. It's not going to be as good a quality as it actually sounds like in the room, but it should give you an idea of what I'm doing. The point is just to show you that you can set up all sorts of different sounds with this little setup and use it pretty much like a traditional pedal board. So much more flexible than the pedal is on its own. So we'll go ahead and do that. I've just got the phone will be here showing you what I'm doing on the pedals, and this microphone picking up the guitar. So I'm not going to try and do any amazing guitar playing or anything, not that I can, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what you can do with this. So here we go. Okay, so channel 1 is clean. There's a little bit of drive if I go on to the Valeton. Okay, so on our Valeton GT5, we're going to go to Global. Obviously, once you've paired by Bluetooth, by doing a long press on the parameter button on the GP5, then you can connect your device and on the app, the GP5 app. So we go to Global Settings, scroll down, and you're going to foot switch mode, and you've got some options here. You can do 0 to 99, which is the default, and it just scrolls through the patches, you know, from 1 to 99. Can't go backwards on the foot switch. You can do it on the app, and you can do it on the rotary control, I think on a GP5, but it's not particularly practical unless you're just purely recording one sound at a time. Or you can narrow that down a bit to 0 to 9, which I suppose gives you're just scrolling between 9 different patches. A to Z is pretty useful if you, for example, can get by live or whatever you're doing on 3 settings, let's say a clean, a crunch and a lead sound, then you could do A, B and C as your A to Z and just have those sounds stored that way, and that means every time you hit the switch on the GP5 it just goes to the next one. So you've only got 3 So worst case scenario, you've got 2 quick clicks to go from, you know, C back to A if needs be. So that would be pretty usable. But in this setting, pairing it up with our Mvave Chocolate Plus, we're going to the control setting. Okay, and that means, as I think I explained earlier on, every time you hit the button on the GP5, it goes from the patch that you're already in, and it just goes to the extra effects that you've added on the button switch. So, for example, say you've got a sound set up and you want to be able to bring in chorus or delay or distortion or a number of those different effects, you can do that. So pretty useful. So when we make that up with, when we next look at the Mvave settings, you'll see how incredibly useful this can be. So let's go and do that next. Okay, so if we go into the Cube Suite app, equipment list, scan nearby devices, it's found Foot Control Plus. Okay, and after a second or two, that fires up and connects with your Mvave Chocolate Plus. So the settings that we're going for here to do this particular setup, there's lots of other ways you can do this, but this is the one that I'm using. We're scrolling through these settings here to Advanced Custom Mode. Okay, and that brings you up the different groups. Now, A, B, C, and D that you can see here, that's basically your 1, 2, 3, 4 switches on the unit itself. Your 4 foot switches. You can set up 8 different groups this way. So that's what, 32 possibilities then. And if you're using the Control Plus, you've also got that extra effects on and off setting. So you've basically got 64 different possibilities. All right. I've got one group set up at the moment. You can do the maximum group count, doesn't matter. You can change that from anything from 1 to 8. I've just left it on 8. I've done one group. So if I wanted to do another group, let's just do that. Let's call this group 2. Change that to 2. It seems to have worked this time. Okay, so if I go to the first pedal, what we've got here is we need control CC, which is control commands. It doesn't respond to program change messages, it's control messages, so CC is the one we need. Now, the first one here says 0, we leave that there. That just means that the pedal, that's telling the pedal that the switch is just changing to a patch setting, and then 2 is the patch that you want to use. So you can enter any of the patches. Obviously you're going to have gone through and set up your own patches for this. But I'll just randomly pick 23. So button 1, I save that. So now button 1 on bank 2 goes to patch 23. Okay, so we've got current group 2, A is set up. We'll go back and we'll just go to B. And again, hit this and we go to CC. Data 0, so data 2 will be another patch, so let's call that 43. I think that's actually a bass patch, but anyway, we'll just go for that. Okay, so you just go through, it can be slightly temperamental. It sometimes says that failed to send data, but I find that it has actually done that. You just go through that, C, do C and do D. So you've just then got 4 patches set up that you can click between, and then with the control button on your GP5, you've got another level of say effects that you want to add on to that particular setting. So pretty flexible, and then you can scroll through the banks by pressing A and B together. That takes you between the banks. So you hit them together, that's gone up to 8. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you just hit the A and B buttons at the same time, and that switches you between the banks that you've got set up. So there we have it, guys. I don't know about you, but I think you'll agree that that's a pretty incredible little setup for what in UK money comes to just over £100 worth of stuff. So the little power bank that I already had, the GP5, the Mvave Chocolate Plus, and the little Vohalo pedal board to mount it all on. A couple of little cables, Bob's your uncle. You've got an incredibly flexible mini little footboard that you can take with you anywhere. That you can plug that into a PA system. If you've got a monitor, that's all you need. Don't need an amp. You can plug it into, as I'm doing here, into the hi-fi. You can plug it into, if you've got an FR speaker, getting one of those shortly, so I'll do a review on that. That's fine. You can plug it into the effects return of an amplifier if you wanted. So just a pretty incredible portable little thing, even if it's just as a backup. If you're a gigging guitarist, shove that in a bag, takes up hardly any space at all, and you've got a complete good to go rig if you ever need it. So listen, let me know if you find that useful. This stuff's been around for a while, so there's loads and loads of videos around it. That's where I kind of worked out how to do all this stuff, and hopefully mine's helpful to you if you've been watching this channel. If you just found this, do feel free to like and subscribe. It's really helpful to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.